This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Every sip of Coca-Cola brings you closer to the excitement of the FIFA World Cup 26. Because nothing compares to the joy. So grab a Coke and drink in the FIFA World Cup 26. No purchase necessary. 13 plus in 50 U.S. states and D.C. with a web-enabled device. Ends March 1st with 8 entry periods. Rules at CokeURL.com/soccer rules.
What did Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni have to say today at the NFL Combine? Well, guys, we're going to talk about it. This is Phil Stiefel here for the Eagles Checkdown right here, jointly produced on the Eagles Pinpool Podcast Network and the STT Sports Network on YouTube. This is the fastest under 10-minute Eagles podcast you can listen to, covering all the news, notes, and opinions you want on your favorite football team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, whatever platform you're watching on, whichever format you're watching on, hit the buttons on your screen. Like, subscribe, share, follow. You name it, just do it. If you see the button, click it. It's free to do. It supports the algorithm and helps grow these 2 great channels. I greatly appreciate it. Everybody at the Eagles Pinball Podcast Network would greatly appreciate it. The Combine began, and on Tuesday, Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni spoke to the media. And there's lots of things, little nuggets and things like that to break down. They're going to start talking to Dallas Goedert's representatives this week. Huge thing because, I predicted that Dallas Goedert will stay. It will save salary cap money if he does. He talked about Brandon Graham might want to come back, and Brandon Graham is welcome back if he wants to. He talked about Jalen Phillips and how Jalen Phillips probably will be priced out of staying in Philadelphia. But he talked about 2 other things. Well, they talked about 2 other things that I think are very key and very important and hot topics. Obviously, A.J. Brown and Sean Mannion. So let's talk A.J. Brown first. Obviously, Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni answered a lot of questions about A.J. Brown and what the future is. And they did not throw any water on the A.J. Brown fire drama. They did not say flat out, no, he will not be traded. They flat out did say that A.J. Brown is an elite player. They did say A.J. Brown is someone that they want here, that they have great relationships with, but they did not say no to it. And basically, if you translate all the things that they said about A.J. Brown and his future with the Philadelphia Eagles, it was pretty obvious what Howie Roseman was saying. Howie Roseman basically said, look, if you blow me away with an offer, you call and say, hey, we got a first-round pick and something else, sure. You make me an offer I can't refuse, done. But if you come in lowballing me with 4th-round picks and 3rd-round picks and 5th-round picks, that's not getting the job done. We'll just hold on to him. It'll save us money in the long run just to keep him. And he is an elite player and an elite wide receiver. Why wouldn't we want to keep him? So that was the key takeaway for me, is that I don't think they're ruling out trading A.J. Brown. They don't want to, but I think that their goal is to keep him unless there's something that they just can't say no to. Now, Nick Sirianni did talk about Sean Mannion and the hiring of him as the new offense coordinator. He did talk about how, the system's going to change, the schemes are going to change. You might see Jalen Hurts under center even more. Great. Different style of running and route trees, all that stuff. He talked about how he interviewed 17 different candidates to be the next offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. And he was looking for innovation. He was looking for this and that. He was looking for play calling experience. But when he met with Sean Mannion, he was just so blown away with his knowledge and his abilities and what he wanted to do. They just couldn't say no. And while he doesn't have the play calling experience Nick Sirianni and the Eagles fans want it, his knowledge is what put him over the top of all these other candidates. And it made me think about when Nick Sirianni was interviewed and eventually hired as the Eagles head coach back before the 2021 season. And I remember hosting podcasts. I was on, a couple small podcasts back then at the time. And I remember thinking of all the names, Josh McDaniel, all the names that were coming in here, all the experienced big names. And then it was announced that Nick Sirianni is the head coach. And I'm like, who's Nick Sirianni? We hear the press conference, and he stumbles and bumbles his way through it. But when you really got down to it, when you really talked to Howie Roseman about it, it was his impressions that he got from Nick Sirianni, big picture, during the interview process that set him above and beyond all the other candidates. And look, it worked out well. And we've talked about this before, that despite not getting the big name, the last couple names we've hired, not offense coordinator, at head coach, were not big names, and they were pretty successful. 3 of the last 4. Nick Sirianni, obviously, the best Eagles coach ever. Doug Peterson won us our first Super Bowl. Andy Reid was an unknown quarterback coach from Green Bay. So it's worked out plenty of times for this Eagles organization. Goes to show the importance of that interview process and being prepared for interviews in life, whatever aspect you look at, whatever you do. I think it's very interesting that Sean Mannion, really was able to, impress to the point where they got rid of one of their main goals was getting an experienced play caller, and it didn't matter because that's how smart he was and that's how much he impressed them. They expect scheme changes. They didn't want to lose Jeff Stoutland. They had no choice because it just didn't work out. They want to run a different run game. They're going to get the passing game coordinator involved with the run game. There's so many things that are going to go into this. But he impressed. So that's why he's our guy. That's what I got on that. I think it was very interesting. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out over the next week or two with the Eagles. And I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. I really am. And how the offseason goes, players, free agents, draft, the combine, the interview process for the draft will really dictate and tell us a little bit about what Sean Mannion's philosophies are going to be offensively speaking, knowing that they're already planning to sit down with Dallas Goedert right now in the combine before free agency begins next week? It's like March 8th, March 9th, something like that. So about a week and a half from now, trying to get that deal done now before free agency tells me so much about the importance of having a good tight end that can block, that can catch, that can run routes, that's a team leader and all that kind of stuff. I've predicted all along that Dallas Goedert would stay because of that $20 million dead cap hit if he leaves. It's a big, big deal. And it also gets check marks off the board before the combine, before the draft, and before free agency, so you know which route you got to go with players. So we're going to learn a lot about Sean Mannion and his philosophies as reports of certain players come across the table. So I think it's interesting. Everybody have a great day. I'm still here in Fort Myers. It's sunset here while I'm recording this. Everybody have a great day. Go Birds. Bubbles up.